Hey, good afternoon, guys. This is Ghazala here from the Staten Island Partnership for Community Wellness. I'm joined by 5 of my colleagues that work at United Activities Unlimited, UAU, and SIPCW. We are both members of a larger coalition on Staten Island called the TYSA Coalition that works to improve uh, behavioral health outcomes for youth here in Staten Island. So my name is Ghazala, and I'm the TYSA PACS coordinator, but I am joined by Danielle, John, Malissa, Chelsea, and Christine. So thank you all for joining me. These folks are PACS partners. They support elementary school teachers here on Staten Island. They give them social and emotional strategies that help support our children. Definitely a skill that is really in need nowadays, as we are often feeling isolated emotionally and socially, being stuck in the house due to coronavirus. So each week we're bringing up a different topic, trying to support our parents and our teachers. And this week, Chelsea brought us a question. Chelsea, what's on your mind this week?
Thank you, Sean. Hi. Okay, so as we've been working remotely, I find that I've been kind of distracted. I have a hard time focusing on one topic at a time. I'll have like a million windows on my web browser open. I want to clean instead of like sit down and do what I'm supposed to be doing. So like that kind of got me thinking that if I'm having a hard time focusing, I'm sure that our kids are probably struggling even worse with the same thing. I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts or suggestions for our families.
That's an excellent point, Chelsea. In these stressful times, it's so important that we maintain the social emotional needs of not only ourselves, but especially our children. So what I've noticed is in the schools I've worked in, brain breaks have been very beneficial. In the schools I've worked in, I've heard these techniques called mental breaks, granny wacky prizes, brain power wellness tools. So brain breaks are pretty much short mental breaks that help students refocus, re-energize, and relax. So we can use brain breaks before, during, or after a lesson just to get students or our children ready to learn again. So we can use these tools at home too. Things like skipping around your home, drawing a picture, tapping your head, and rubbing your tummy at the same time can get your child or yourself ready to learn again. Danielle, what are your thoughts?
I think those are really great thoughts. I think personally for me, I've come to realize and learn that each individual person is going to be different. So for me, like I'm really great with just like having like a list of like the expectations for the day, like not super high standards for myself, because when you have high standards and high expectations, then, you know, I end up feeling disappointed if I don't get a lot done. But if I just have a goal of getting at least, 3 out of the 5 things done, and I do, that'll make me feel better about myself and how productive I was that day. But in terms of our children, I think, and this is funny to say, and it may sound silly, but it's very crucial to take the time to communicate with your children, to specify what their needs are, because with me, working with students, I can't react the same way to students. I can't expect them to have the same needs as one another. So for one stress relief technique that may work for one of my students, whether it's like blowing some bubbles or coloring or drawing, it may be very different for another student that may need more in-depth sensory activities like having a stress ball or being able to punch something when they're angry. Like those are all different needs. So what I've been strongly encouraging parents to do is just take the time to sit with your child, and when they get in that moment of frustration, ask them what they're feeling. Maybe pay close attention to when that happens. If it's the same exact time frame that it's happening, then that's maybe, if it's happening at, 10 or 11 o'clock, if there's a specific time and a specific subject that's triggering that behavior, then that's the perfect time to jump in with a brain break activity before they get to that escalated level, because then it allows their brain and their bodies to breathe and refocus. As Christine said, that's the main focus with brain activities and brain breaks. However you refer to them. It's just to allow everyone to have that break in that moment of silence, to do something that appeases them and allows them to refocus. And, you know, after that break, remind them that this is, you know, your time to kind of reflect on what needs to get done next. And I think that's just been really helpful with parents. So that's just something that, you know, during this time we're home, you know, with them so much. So let's dive a little deeper into what their specific needs are, because everyone's going to be different, in my opinion. What do you think, Melissa?
You're on mute, Melissa.
Great valid points, guys. I was just thinking about, like, with my own experience, you know, even as a SEL coach for elementary school kids, like, I had to think, okay, you know, about some of the things that they love to do, and reflecting now with my daughter sitting at home and having to teach her for longer periods of time, it's really, really different. So I was like, okay, you know, I definitely have to get a little innovative here, but keeping the same, you know, kind of SEL strategies in the house. It just looked totally different. So just to give you guys, maybe some of the parents, this may work for some children, this may not work for some, but I think that Go Noodle is an excellent resource to not only get a break for the child, but for you as well. You know, balancing schedule and my focus time, I need brain breaks. So I find it very helpful that me and Rosie do a lot of our brain breaks together. And we've been using Go Noodle, and I want to share one of our favorite ones with you. You can go right on YouTube, or you can go on their website, but here's Milkshake. And I did this with my students in my schools as well. Love it. Here we go. Can you guys hear it? I'll probably have no sound on this one, but if you like, go on YouTube, just put in Go Noodle, and there's a whole bunch of different videos, and they're about 2 or 3 minutes long, and you'll be surprised. You just get silly with your kid and just remind them it's time to refocus after we do this. You know, you give it to them after they finish an assignment. That's how I usually do it with Rosie. And it's been very helpful just getting through the day.
That's super cute.
I'm going to pass it over to John now.
Hi, guys. So one of the things that comes to mind is, again, my CBT background. The way I try to analyze different situations is sort of like a mathematical problem, right? There's always the ABCs of that situation, the antecedent, the behaviors, and the consequences that you get from the behaviors. What I'm trying to get at is that if you use this mathematical equation of the ABC, you could kind of break down anything that you want to help your child accomplish, whether it's like an educational task like reading or writing, or whether it's some sort of task at home. So for an example, when I was working in one of the schools, I had this child that had a hard time sitting still while the teacher was lecturing, right? The teacher was teaching from a board. I believe she was going over certain vowels and letters. So this one child had a hard time sitting still. So before the child started displaying this behavior of, this unwanted behavior of getting up and walking around, I would try to verbally reward the child while the child is maintaining the behavior of sitting crisscross applesauce, right? So the behavior that I want the child to follow through with is sitting crisscross applesauce. Now, while the child is maintaining it, I would verbally praise him, good job, great job, way to go. And then maybe I would even throw in this silly prize. All right, you're doing such a great job maintaining this posture. You know, let's take a walk around the classroom real quick, and then we'll go back to sitting down, as opposed to letting the behavior go to the point where the child gets frustrated because he can't sit still anymore and then gets up on his own. So that's one way you can use these wacky prizes, right? Another way you can use it is at the end of the behavior. If you see that the child is performing the behavior very well and is doing good and can get through it, you would save the prize for the end. So for an example, one situation when I was working with a child, my nephew actually, we were putting away clothes. So I told him, I said, okay, so if we get all the clothes hung up and we put all the clothes in the drawer, at the end we get to play this fun prize, this fun game with these balled up socks. So the idea was that we had to put away all these clothes within 5 minutes, and we did it. And he did well. He stayed focused. He put away the clothes. Everything was nice and neat. Then at the end, I rewarded him with a quick game of a snowball fight with these bolt up socks, right? So it's something fun that I could do with them very quickly to reward some sort of focused time where they were on task. One more situation was where, again, the child that I was helping was writing and was doing some sort of writing assignment. And I saw that he was getting beginning to get frustrated. Like his eyes were coming off from the paper and he's starting to look around. So at that moment, I wanted to catch him before the unwanted behavior of him getting frustrated happened. So what I did was I started to redirect him, get him to focus on me for a second. And once we started speaking about the dinosaurs, which was the actual topic of the task, then I redirect him back on the writing assignment. And once he was completed again, then we played a fun little prize.
That's good too, because like if you incorporate laundry, that's a chore that needs to get done, and now you're turning it into a game. So I think that's a really fun approach, John.
Thank you. Yeah, the whole idea is to make all these positive emotional connections to these tasks or to these assignments from school that would otherwise seem mundane or unpleasant. You know, no one really likes to sit still for an extended period of time, but if I know that at the end I get this fun game that I want to play, it'll make it a little bit more likely for me to sit still.
Oh, yeah.
So Chelsea, you have a few strategies to use while we're still at home. I hope you find a couple of these helpful.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and
No problem.
we will be linking to some of the resources we mentioned. The partners here, they created a take-home handout that lists a bunch of brain break activities. We have links to some other things as well that we're going to include in the comments below. Parents, teachers, please send us your questions if there's a way that we can help support you while you guys are working from home. That's what we're here for, and you know, we're eager to do it. So definitely follow us on social media. We're at TYSA Network, TYSA NETWORK. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And everyone stay safe. Thank you all for joining me this week, and I hope to see you guys again next week.
Thank you.
Well, everybody.
Be safe.